The stream is live. And we are live.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Chelsea and I literally have not planned any of this. I just love this girl, and I would not have near as much fun doing a Rise recap by myself.
Can we do these every week? I feel like we should have a show. Someone get on that. We need a show. Or I need a show.
You need a show. You're far more interesting than I am.
Stop it.
They would have agreed. Had we went live when we were, by the way, you guys, if you're tuning in live right now, if you're watching the replay, you're not going to know any different. But if you're watching live or you've been looking for us to go live because we were supposed to go live 8 minutes ago, it's Chelsea's fault.
I take full. Okay, so Ronald, is he in here yet?
I think he has a business planning meeting at 9, which is in 2 minutes. So probably not.
Consider yourself called out because I'm sorry. It's in the name. It's in the name.
Yeah. So why are we here? Well, we're here because Chelsea and I went to our first Rise conference. It was in Vegas. It was so much fun. And so if you're not in real estate, you're not going to care to watch this at all. Like, there's not going to be anything.
I disagree.
Do you?
I'm pretty entertaining.
You are pretty entertaining. If you have like time to watch like a TV show or something and you want to tune in, but you're not going to get any value.
We can tell them about Vegas. If they're on teeter-tottering, Vegas, we can tell them about that. But yeah,
we can. So Rise is Real Brokers annual conference. Real Brokers, the brokerage me and you are at now.
Yes.
We met. How long ago did we meet? So I've been at Real for almost 3 years now, and we met before then.
I can tell you because I remember the exact conversation. So for those of you that don't know, Sam and I were at EXP together before getting to Real. And at EXP, once you hit there, it's called Icon. Once you hit Icon, you have a cultural responsibility if you choose to take it on. And for me, it was to interview the incoming Icon agents. And Sam had Iconed, and I was like, oh, wow, you would go through a list and you would pick who you'd want to call. So I would always try to call people that were more local to me. That way I could create those connections. And I see, oh, this girl's in Kentucky. I'll call her. So I was in the middle of building my house. And so we were renting a house. And I remember being on the front porch on the phone. And I remember needing to go inside for something, but I just kept walking around my porch because our conversation didn't end. I kept thinking it was going to end and it never did. And I loved it. And we talked about raccoons. We talked about possums. I don't know that there was any topic left untouched, really. And so I remember that specifically because it was 2020. It was, I believe, July of 2020 because it was still really hot outside.
I could go back and look because I remember the client's house that I was standing in front of. I was walking up and down the sidewalk of a house on 20 Grand Avenue in Thoroughbred Acres in Owensboro. Yes, I remember it. And my client was like, what in the world is she doing out there? Just walking back and forth. Our conversation did last forever.
It did. And I was like, I feel like you're my best friend. And I've never met I think I said something about my raccoon was outside. And you were like, what?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my pet. And it's been, so yeah, it was 2020. So a little over 4 years ago.
Nice.
I love it. And we didn't meet in person until, because we hit COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the first time we met in person was when you had, so it was at your old office, obviously.
Yeah.
When you had you had like a
just a masterminding session where I invited. I handpicked different agents, so it wasn't an open invitation because I wanted it to be small, but I wanted it to be with agents who I thought could really bring value and have good conversations. So,
who handpicks Brad Cecil?
I hope he's watching this.
No, but seriously, I was so sad that he was not at your grand opening, that I did not get to see him because I wanted to give him large amounts of, can I say that?
You can say whatever you want.
Shit, I wanted to give him shit. Just for fun because it's entertaining because yeah, Brad's awesome. We saw Ron, loved that. And I know that there were several people that were at the leadership summit that were also at that meeting.
Yeah.
So I love that.
So it's really fun that you said at your old office is where the mastermind
office. I get that.
It looks like a totally different space.
It's totally
different. The mastermind that we had back in, gosh, I don't even know. It's been a while now.
I had to have been 22, maybe.
Yeah, probably. But it happened when I was in this office, but we had not done an inch of renovation, nothing. And I had beautiful furniture in there because I was so excited about what our office was going to look like. And so anyway, I had all this furniture set up, but the walls, the floor, the ceiling, everything was janky, but everybody came anyway and nobody complained. It was amazing.
I don't even remember. It was so not janky. Because I remember I was sitting in like a chair in the back.
Yes.
And everyone was in front of me at tables. And no, it's not janky. But your office does look incredibly beautiful now. Far more than it did then. And I'm so glad I got to see it in person because I feel like had we not had that leadership summit, Real just would not have been the same. And I feel like the whole time at Real, I was just riding your little coattails. Like, come on, take me. I was being a pick-me girl. That's what our kids call them now. Pick-me girls.
I don't have any kids, so I'm not like in it, you know? Like,
apparently. Mia came home from school one day and said, Mom, someone said I was being a pick-me girl today. And I was like, okay.
So did you Google it to see what that meant? If that was a good thing or a bad thing?
Yes, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. In real estate, you have to be a pick-me girl.
So you talked about Brad Cecil. We're going to talk about him a little bit. He did, you have to, if you haven't looked, you have to go to his page and watch one of his recent episodes where he talked about pretty girls.
Oh.
Yeah,
it was a whole show about me? I'm teasing.
Okay, awesome. So I don't even know. I wish we would have gone live like while we were in the chaos before we went live because I think people would have been like, oh my gosh, like I'm definitely tuning in.
They just would have seen my stomach the whole time. My shirt was hanging in the draft of space.
Do you know, I absolutely love, so prior to, when I first got in the business, this has nothing to do with the Rise recap once again, so we'll eventually get there. But when I first got in the business, I was at Remax. And I loved Remax, like loved the people there. I absolutely loved our office manager, the owner, everybody. Okay. But when I was at Remax, I didn't know that I could ever work with people like you. Like I don't guess I ever realized that there was going to be an opportunity where I could collaborate with other agents who would actually want to help me grow and get better. Because in that office, nobody really shared their secrets. Now, maybe it's different, but then they definitely didn't share their secrets. If you wanted to grow, you were relying on the knowledge of the office manager or your broker, and that's it. I even went to the Remax convention in Vegas, and I don't feel like I learned anything. It was a bunch of partying, and it was like it was just a big party. So anyway, this feels so much better.
I think you still see that in your local market among competitors. And as much as Real pushes the collaboration over competition, that is so easy to do in the Real community. You know, I feel like, and I even had this thought when we were at Rise, is someone had made a comment in Workplace about how much they loved that Real was like a massive family reunion and people that didn't even know each other were running around hugging each other, not to make it sound like entirely weird. But that was the whole vibe. And I don't feel like there was anyone that would, now Real did do an exceptional job about the click cards. So I actually have my card over here.
Yeah, I've never seen those before. It was really fun.
It doesn't still have the click feature on it, but
they recycled them. But.
So we had these little buttons right here that would light up. And so we joked, Sam, I know you and I joked about it. It was like being at a Taylor Swift concert because they could control when these light up, how they light up. So we would be doing something, and then all of a sudden you'd just see like the whole crowd just start booming with lights, and it was amazing. So for that feature alone, A++ to the experience at Rise. They really, really, really thought about it. But back to the point here of collaboration. So at Real, it's so easy to do. When you step outside of Real, now, and I could just be speaking to my own market, as much as I want to be the example, it's easy to do at Real. It is harder sometimes in your local market, especially when you have competition. Because at the end of the day, I feel like, and this might be wrong, but if they truly wanted to collaborate, why are you not at Real? It's so hard to not cross the line of giving away your secrets of the business and being collaborative, because at what point do you become, we spend so much time and investment on learning things. I feel like I can't give all of that away to someone who just maybe isn't even in the same spirit of business that I'm in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And we're actually, I don't care if agents are at Real Broker or not. I mean, obviously, the more people who are at Real Broker, the more fun it is, right? Because you're going to be cheering them on. It's a different level. So the whole reason that I wanted to create the office that I created wasn't just for my team, which is Vega Group. This office is not for Vega Group. This office is for Real Broker agents who join Real Broker in my area. They're going to have access to it. But it didn't stop there. Like the biggest reason we decided to put all this money into our office is because I want to change the way real estate is done, the collaboration part in our market. So you were just talking about how in different markets, the agents aren't real collaborative. And that, I don't know, I'm pretty impressed actually with the agents in Owensboro. I feel like they do collaborate when they're able, when there's opportunities. I feel like people, maybe they don't share all their secrets. I just lost her. But I don't feel like they share all their secrets necessarily, because obviously we're all competition, but we're going to change it at our office. 100%. We're going to start having monthly masterminds here, and hopefully agents from other brokerages come, and it's not going to be like, you should join Real Broker. Like, absolutely not. If you come to Real Broker, amazing. If you don't come to Real Broker, you're still always invited to these monthly masterminds. And I hope that we all openly share and help each other grow. And yeah, to me, that's what it's all about. The more fun I can have in this business, the more fun it is to be in the business of real estate. And real estate is very, very stressful. Like, I don't think people who aren't in real estate understand just how stressful real estate is. So, and that's real estate agents' fault. That's because what we put out onto social media is, look how much money I'm making. Look how many houses I'm selling. Look how many clients I've served. Look at this. But what people don't see is we're expected to be attached to our phone 24/7. If our client texts us at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, most real estate agents haven't set boundaries. And so they get really stressed out when they get all those texts because they feel like they have to respond all the time. So anyway, real estate you can feel really stressed out and feel like you're on an island a lot. And I hope that this office space tries to get rid of that in our market. I want agents to come here and just feel like, okay, every single Wednesday at 11 o'clock, or most Wednesdays anyway, starting in December, by the way, but every single Wednesday at 11 o'clock, I know that if I want to go somewhere and talk to somebody about something, this next Wednesday at 11, I'm going to go over to Triplet and we're going to go have a conversation. And I don't know when Chelsea is going to hop back on. I don't know what happened to her. You guys, Chelsea's pretty dang amusing. And yes, let me show this comment over here. Dawn Bradley, I love you, girl. Sounds like they made it fun for you all. Yes, the Rise conference was so much fun. When Chelsea hops back on here, I don't know what happened to her, but when she hops back on here, we're going to dive deep into like, what did we get from the conference? What was the conference atmosphere actually like? And she was actually talking about, so I'll bring it up because I made note of that too. But Chelsea was actually talking about workplace, and workplace is, so we're a cloud-based brokerage. There's not a lot of brick and mortar like the Remaxes and the Keller Williams and the Coldwell Bankers. And so anyway, we don't have a lot of brick and mortar. We have one just because my husband and I decided we wanted to invest it in that way. But anyway, so we need a place where we can all come together, be in community, and that right now is workplace. And if you think about Facebook and how that community is, it's just like that. It's actually Workplace by Facebook. Facebook owns it, but it's just for businesses. So anyway, we have our own workplace, and on there we stay in touch. We have different masterminding calls multiple times every single day. And so although I've not met a lot of these agents that I got to talk to in person at Rise, I felt like I knew them already because I'm constantly in workplace talking to them, learning from them, adding to the mastermind sessions, taking from the mastermind sessions. So anyway, I absolutely love it. On workplace, after Rise was over, it was so fun to see all the different agents posting in workplace. Now, mind you, this is only for agents at Real Broker. Our workplace is only for agents at Real Broker. And so nobody's posting in there trying to recruit or attract agents. Other agents aren't in there. So these are agents posting in there about Rise purely because they're so excited, which is awesome. Oh, hey, Sarah, which is so awesome. So anyway, I actually jotted down a couple of the things that they said. Steven posted in our workplace group. He said, I've been an agent with Real for 42 days, and I feel like I've been a part of this family my whole life. The culture here is beyond amazing. We are all truly loved and cared for like no other business out there, from the very top all the way to the bottom. And I absolutely could not agree more. When we were at Rise, you could not tell the difference between top producers and brand new agents. As far as when you looked at the crowd and saw people mingling with one another, everybody was mingling with everybody. Brandon actually replied to Steven and he said, definitely agree. Well said. A few months in from that other cloud brokerage, and we've all said our decision to move was validated with every moment of this conference. So happy to be here. Matt Daniels posted, one of the grandest phenomenons about Rise, the consistent and perpetual hugs from strangers. What a crazy, amazing, unique culture. I came for the money and I'm staying for the people. And I can't even tell you the amount of hugs that I got there and how many people knew me that I didn't know knew me. And that didn't happen at the other cloud-based brokerage that I was at because, well, honestly, I don't know why, because we're set up very similarly, but there's just something different about the culture. There's something different about people at Real making sure that nobody here feels like they're on an island and that everybody is involved, which is awesome. So then Seth Yates responded to Matt and he said, the caps and splits drew me in, and now I understand that they're actually the number 7 and number 8 best parts of being here. To be perfectly honest, I don't know why any agent would want to be anywhere else. Again, you guys, these are comments on a private platform. This isn't comments made where they're hoping another agent from another brokerage sees it and they're going to come to Real. Like, it wasn't that. It was just agents purely running off excitement and adrenaline from how awesome their experience was at Rise. And then the last one that I made note of, and of course there's a ton of them in there, but Curtis Washington posted, A leader is someone who guides a group towards a common goal, inspiring and motivating them to achieve it. They also have a great set of values that make them who they are. Tamir Poleg is that guy. Every single time he sees me, we don't shake hands, we hug. People don't give a crap about what you know until they know you care, and he truly cares. And Tamir is the founder of Real Broker, and I had never met him in person, but because of workplace and because of how active I am in that community, I felt like I knew him because I've been in so many rooms with him before and heard him speak. He's heard me talk. So anyway, Steve and I got to Vegas early. So the conference this year was in Vegas. Last year it was in San Diego. And the first conference, so this was the third, the first conference was really small, and it was, I think, in San Antonio. So I didn't go to either of those. I've been at Real for in December, it'll be 3 years. So this was the first one that I actually went to though. So anyway, Steve and I got to Vegas early, and we wanted to explore, spend some time together. It was our anniversary on the 22nd, which was a day of the conference. So we went a little bit early to celebrate our anniversary. Well, we were walking down the hallway. I think it was the first night we were there. Plenty of time before the conference started. We were walking down the hall of the hotel, and all of a sudden I saw Tamir, and he was walking toward us, but he was on his phone. So you got to think, a couple days before the conference, the executive leadership team and all of the staff are arriving early because they're going through rehearsals. They're making sure everything is set up right and works right and all this stuff. So anyway, you can tell that he was on a mission and he was just working. So anyway, I almost didn't stop him because he was looking at his phone. We could have passed him. He would not have seen me. But I decided to just go ahead and say hi. So anyway, I was like, hey, Tamir. And his face lit up because he obviously knew that I was at Real. And he gave me a big hug. And Steve and I were on our way. We were on our way to the gym, actually. We were in our gym clothes. And he said, are you guys heading to the gym? Or did you guys just come back from the gym? I said, no, we're heading there. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. That's really great that you're heading there to work out, whatever. We had small talk. I thanked him for founding the company because I absolutely love it. We chatted maybe 45 seconds. I mean, we weren't together long, and he probably would have stayed longer, but I didn't want to keep him. Like, I know he's busy and everybody is stopping him. We have 22,000 agents at Real, not 22,000 at Vegas. They didn't all go to the conference, but we have 22,000 agents at Real. So I can only imagine how busy that guy is. So anyway, so then we just moved on. Well, fast forward to 2 days later, I believe, we were at the conference and we were between sessions. Steve went to all the sessions with me, but we were walking out and he was taking photos with agents because he just wants to be around us. He wants to know us. Anyway, he's out there taking photos with us, and I was in line to take a photo. And as soon as I walked up to him, he said, have you been to the gym yet today? And you guys, I know that sounds so small. And I know that agents who are at smaller brokerages with maybe 100 agents or less are probably like, well, who cares? I see my broker, I see our owner all the time, and he knows everything about me. We have 22,000 agents here. And for him to remember that he saw us in the hallway, first of all, but then to also remember that we had that conversation when I know he's had at least 100 conversations with agents since then. I don't know. I was just really impressed. And I've always thought that Tamir just really cares. And you can act like you care for a while and not really care, but you can't act forever. You know, like you can only act for so long, and your true colors are going to start showing. And that dude, Pat Kaysen owns Remax, and that's where I started. I absolutely adore Pat, always have, always will. And Tamir reminds me so much of him, which is actually quite an honor. So anyway, that was fun. That was really fun. And then we have, let's see. We started, I don't know if Chelsea's going to come back on here, y'all. I think I'm going to stop the Instagram one so I can shoot her a text. Let's see. You guys are just going to have to hold for just a second so I can see what in the world she's doing. might just, so I'm going to highlight Sarah here. I love her. She's probably not on here anymore, but Sarah Barnes, hey girl, hey. Let's see what Chelsea's doing. I have so much to talk about, but if she's going to hop back on, I do not want to share all this stuff without her, but I might. So we have, I have a really fun story about another gym story actually, but it's not about Tamir. It's about Kofi Narte, and I don't know if you guys know who Kofi is, but he is an agent at Real. He runs a humongous team, and I don't know this 100%, but I'm pretty sure that he actually owned a brokerage, but I could be wrong. It might have just been a massive team at a brokerage. But anyway, he either moved his massive team from another brokerage to Real, or he had an independent brokerage, which is what I think happened. He had an independent brokerage and he moved it over to Real. And it's called Global. Anyway, Kofi is in Beverly Hills, California, and he actually is the go-to agent for professional athletes and celebrities, and he's represented Michael Jordan, which is actually really cool. So anyway, to me, he's a celebrity. He actually was an actor in Hollywood for many years, and now he helps the celebrities buy and sell real estate. So of course, I got excited when I saw that he came over to Real, but I never really thought that I would ever really talk to him probably. So anyway, I'm in the hotel gym. I don't even remember what day it was. Let's see. We left there Thursday. So it was probably I think it was Tuesday. Anyway, I decided during my lunch hour at the conference to go hit up the gym because I didn't go that morning. So I go to the gym and there's one guy in there, and then all of a sudden I see one other guy. There's three of us. The other guy was Kofi, and he's in there working out. He's got his headphones on. I have my headphones on, and I notice him, but I'm like, I'm not going to go bug him. You know, it was kind of like my feeling with Tamir for a split second, but then I was like, nah, he's our founder. I got to talk to him. With Kofi, I was like, I'm definitely not going to bug him because so many people are probably asking to take pictures with him, and I'm just not going to be that girl. So I'm just over there working out. And finally, I was like, okay, I was probably in the gym for 10, 15 minutes. And finally, I was like, okay, the next time he's resting between sets, I'm just going to go introduce myself. So I did, and he saw me walking toward him, and he started taking off his headphones, and I did too. And we just talked, and I shared with him that I was at Real and where my market is, and we just chatted for a little bit, and then he was so nice. And then we got back to working out. Well, this is something that I'll never forget. Now, I have absolutely put on weight since I don't know, I lost quite a bit of weight a few years ago because I went crazy with, I hired a bodybuilder to train me. I didn't want to be in any shows or anything like that, but if he could train bodybuilders, he knows what he's doing. So I hired him. He trained me for like 9 months or so. Anyway, I was eating right, and I got so sick of eating chicken and rice that I just finally was like, screw this. I'm going to go back to being fluffy because it's a little more fun. So anyway, I know how to work out. It was my point of that. And so I'm in there working out. All of a sudden, I notice Kofi is walking toward me, and he's taking off his headphones. And so, of course, I take mine off, and we start chatting, and he says, so are you an athlete? And I started laughing because maybe 3 years ago, I could have passed for an athlete, but today, no way. So anyway, I just laughed and I said, absolutely not, but thanks for the compliment. And he said, well, you just look like you know what you're doing. And so I just shared with him, that I'd hired a bodybuilder for a trainer, and he taught me lots of things. And he said, well, I can tell you're doing a good job. Keep it up. So anyway, and then we went back to working out again, and we ended up speaking again before I left the gym. So we chatted 3 different times in there, and he, I know, thought nothing of it. Like, I'm nobody to him, but to me, it was really cool to talk to him because he was just like anybody else in there, which was super cool. He definitely didn't have a big head about who he was. He was just in there to work out. And when we took a selfie, it was funny. He said he doesn't typically take selfies with people in the gym when he's in workout clothes. I guess somebody stopped him to take a selfie when he was leaving the gym, maybe the day before or something. I don't know. But anyway, he had his workout clothes on, and the agent who wanted to take a selfie with him was like dressed up, looked in a suit or something. And he was like, I'm not taking a selfie. I'm in my gym clothes. Oh, so anyway, it was actually pretty cool. I think Chelsea, I don't know what happened to her. So you guys are just going to get me. I hope you're okay with that. So she's coming back on. Heard me say, I guess it's just going to be me the rest of the time. And she's like, nah.
Oh my gosh. Hang on. I got to turn my sound up now.
What happened to you?
Let me just recover from this heart attack I've been having.
You are like so dramatic.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So
I need to tell you that my computer died. And
because you didn't plug it in.
I did plug it in. For some reason, it's still, I guess all my stuff was just draining the power. And then I had to go find my antiquated desktop Mac, pull it from another office into here, get everything hooked up. And then I click on the internet, get in, everything's outdated. It needs completely updated. It needs new internet. You name it, it definitely happened. Oh my gosh.
That's okay. You're here. So just to catch you up to speed. So you had been talking about, before we lost you, you were talking about workplace and how people were commenting in there, how much fun they had. So anyway, I had jotted down some of the things some of our agents were posting in there. So I shared some of that. And I've shared that I met Tamir in the hallway, and he remembered that we were going to the gym 2 days later. When we talked, he asked if I'd been to the gym that day, which I thought was super, super cool that he remembered that conversation. And then I also just finished hearing. Oh, that's totally echoing.
Can you hear it now?
No, we're good. So anyway, I shared meeting Kofi in the gym and how absolutely cool he was.
I love that. Okay.
So, yes. While Chelsea is using up your valuable time to get her equipment running, because technology is so awesome.
Yeah, I'm also going to adjust this bad boy. Oh my gosh.
By the time this is over, Chelsea will be ready to talk.
What a view of me. All right.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
You're
hopefully I can turn your volume up on you now. So can you hear?
I can hear you. I can totally hear you.
Okay. So you can't hear any echo or anything?
No, we're good.
So obviously no one can see into where I am currently, but it's at my office and it's a big, massive open space. And thankfully, I've got this beautiful little microphone here, or I would not.
Okay, so let's back up a second. So you've had that office for how
long? So we moved in officially April of this year.
Okay, so you've been in there 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
When did you get your decorations behind you set up for your podcast room?
Last night.
She's been in there 6 months. I asked her to do this call with me. And so last night she was in there finishing getting it ready.
I'm not even mad about it. Like, yeah. There is no better motivator than the last moment.
That's right. That's right.
Life of the ADHDer.
Okay, so back to Rise. So the overall feeling of Rise, I've been to many conferences. I've been to a lot of real estate conferences, and I've never been to a conference where literally, just like they said on Workplace, there were perpetual hugs everywhere you turned. And it's not like in the creepy kind of way. Like literally people were so excited that they finally got to meet whoever it was, because they've been on so many mastermind calls and workplace with them, or they haven't seen them since last year at Rise, and they built a stronger friendship because they finally met in person last year. They've stayed in touch and they were so excited to see each other again. So it was just super cool. Like I received so many hugs, and people recognized me that I would have never thought would have recognized me, which was super cool.
See, I didn't have anyone recognize me. I was really hoping for that. Oh my gosh, I see you online. One day, not today and not last week, but that's totally fine. I did fangirl over a lot of people. And it's so easy to do it real, because it's easy to just want to be around the people online that just share their energy so big, and they're just so fun and exciting. And when you get there, you feel that. And actually, it's so funny because so you guys left the morning after Rise.
Yes.
We left the day, so we left Friday. It was over on Wednesday. We left Friday. Mm-hmm. And I told Mike, which for those of you who don't know, that's my husband, who's also a real estate agent. Never again will I stay a day beyond Rise, because it is so sad. I was walking through and I was like, I didn't get to put my badge on today. Where are all my friends? Like, it was eerie to walk around and not have all of that big energy and all of those people. Mm-hmm. And the people is what makes real. And it doesn't matter. So a great example is someone that he had no clue, or he may have no clue until he sees this video, if he even sees this video. But I fangirl over a guy named Marty Reinhardt at Real. And so I sat down at Real and was like, I think I looked over to you and I said,
you did. You were like, that's Marty Reinhardt. And I was like, yeah. I don't know who that is.
Yes. And so finally, I got the moxie to get up and be like, excuse me, hi, Marty. I'm hoping that's who you are. And I'm pretty sure I said just that. I'm hoping that's what's on your name tag, because when you see people online, you aren't entirely sure until you meet them in person. But based off his whole vibe, I could tell probably by his design on his shirt that it was him. And he turns around and I go to shake his hand awkwardly because I don't know what to do. I'm a hugger. I'm a massive hugger, but not everyone has that same barrier. Some have more barrier than I do. And he instantly was like, bring it in. And I'm like, oh, you don't even know. I'm about to hug you so hard.
And so how did you know him? Social media or workplace, or both?
So I honestly have no idea. I remember I have him on social media. That's how I know about him. And I think when I joined Real, I just saw so many people online and was like, they're at Real, they're at Real, they're at Real. Or they were doing something that someone shared that I really liked, and I would go find those people. And I ended up finding him, and I follow him online all the time. And there's so many of those people that I saw in person that, I just admire. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to seem like the awkward girl.
Right. Yeah. But, I talked about that a little bit when you were gone, about how I didn't want to bother Kofi, but then I was like, but I really want to go talk to him.
Okay, so we'll talk about my number one regret of Rise 2024. And I'm still just kicking myself in the butt.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, actually.
So for those of you that don't know, in our C-suite is Sharon. I'm going to try my best to say the last name. Srivatsa.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
He's going to be so proud. Not that he's going to see this video, but if he does, that's awesome. So we were making our rounds, on that last day, because we were so bored. We were just walking around the complex, which, by the way, where we stayed, it was the Virgin in Las Vegas.
It was amazing.
And it was like an animal in the wild. There he was. He was outside talking to these two people. And I couldn't saying he was cornered is a bad example, but he was obviously with two people. He was outside in the, it was mid-afternoon, and he was still in a black jacket. I was like, oh gosh, he's frying. He's being kind. He's talking to them. But the last thing I'm going to do is stop him and ask him for a photo. So I make my round. I go around. I go inside behind him. And I go in the building, and I'm like, well, once he comes, if he comes inside, he'll have a chance to cool down, and then I'll ask him for a photo. See, and that's the other thing about Real. I feel like we're all very courteous and thoughtful. I think I speak for all Real agents. The majority of them are thoughtful. So I was trying to be very mindful of his time and all the energy that was being taken away from him. So I go inside, and he's passing me, and I'm like, now's my time. But we're in a group of people at this point. And I just watched him go by.
Yeah. And if he knew that, he would be so disappointed that you didn't stop him.
I felt like number one, I feel like I went through a whole dilemma in my head. If I'm taking a photo with him, who's it really for? Yes, it's for me because I want a photo with him, but I want to show everyone I met Sharon. And
right.
This dude, I mean, like, we're in the same photo.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, well, that's really for me to show everyone else. I saw him in person, so that works for me. But I think outside of not getting the photo, my biggest regret was not introducing myself and not saying this
to more people.
You will know my name. Hi, I'm Chelsea Burrell. It's so great to meet you. That is my biggest regret. Not the photo. It is just not taking a moment to shake his hand or give him a big hug and say, remember my name. I'm so glad to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But speaking of fangirling, let's talk about this for a second. You met your fangirl woman, and she's fantastic.
Yeah. So to be fair, I have several, but the one that you're talking about, like, first of all, Lana Rodriguez, that's not who you're talking about, but she's amazing. Like, I love her pieces.
Fangirl Lana.
Yeah. And I met her and hugged her, and she's amazing.
And
but who you're,
So when we talked, was this time last year when we talked about making our rounds around Indiana and Kentucky?
Yes.
Okay, so you met Lana obviously virtually. When I met Lana, she says, we've never met in person. I'm like, girl, I know it feels like it, but we haven't.
Yes.
Yeah, I love, and her husband, Brian, I think Mike is fangirling over him. He's really fantastic. And
he's so cool. Brian is so cool. And they were both so willing. Like, the second Lana heard that I have a team, and it's a small team, and I'm, am I going to grow it? Am I not? Like, we just had this conversation, and she immediately started sharing like what happened on her team, and this is what she did, and this is how she made. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, we came to say hi, and you're here like pouring into me. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah.
And so Brian is the same way. He knows so much too.
Next on your list.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we have to get to the meat of this. But I will talk about her real quick, but Chelsea's all about, let's talk about all the fun stuff and all the people.
Well, we were going to script it, and I was like, let's just go with it. See where it takes us. All right. Let's just save the fangirling for the end.
No, I'll share it. So I had been talking about Rachel Novak to Steve for a while. So she and I think a lot alike politically. But she's way more vocal than I am, which I think is amazing. But anyway, I am definitely a huge fan. She runs a team. She's a strong woman. I don't know that she's a bodybuilder, but I don't know that she's in shows. You know what I mean? Like, maybe she is. She could be. But anyway, she is a bodybuilder. So is her husband. They're both on the same real estate team. And I just really look up to her. She has a call. She's on a call all the time on masterminds. And I just love listening to her speak. Because she's like, no fluff, no BS. Like, here it is, and I can just imagine that she runs her team that way. Like, like, this is what I expect of you. This is, and they all love her for it. So anyway, I had been talking about her quite a bit, and we were walking into the first general session, and Steve was like, I'm surprised we haven't run into your bodybuilding friend. That's how he remembered who she is. And I was like, her name is Rachel. I know, but we were hoping to see her the night before at the welcome reception, but we didn't. So anyway, I said, listen, she's not going to recognize me, but if I see her, I'll be sure to introduce you. And he was like, okay. It wasn't 10 seconds later. We're like, we have our eyes set on a seat that we're going to go grab. And then all of a sudden, peripheral vision, I see this little tiny human like walking quickly toward us. And I heard, Sam. And I turned and it was Rachel. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so she gave me the biggest hug. It was like the greatest thing. We talked politics for a little bit. We talked real estate. We talked about life. It was all in like 3 or 4 minutes. I could have talked to her all day. We ended up talking a couple of times later, and she's absolutely amazing. Actually, Steve took pictures of me, you, and her dancing at the final night at the party, which was awesome. It's one of your favorite photos. Anyway, she's not a celebrity, obviously, but I really look up to her. She's amazing. And yeah, it was just really, that's the power of, people think about cloud-based brokerage and gosh, I just want to be around people and I want to be in community. You guys, like, I have been to so many conferences, like I said, and I have never felt so much a part of a family at every turn at that conference. It was just awesome. It was just awesome.
And we talk about fangirling, and really, it's so funny because I told my husband, I was like, this is how you know that you just absolutely love the industry that you're in, because I'm not fangirling over, granted, like there's professional athletes, and Kofi obviously was a professional athlete and he's great. I even fangirled like when you told me like who he was, and I saw him like one of my posts, I was like, oh my gosh, who am I? Who is this? What
world am I living in right now?
And then Brad McCallum, I'm like, no, like that's all hail. Okay.
I know. Yeah.
The big thing is I realize how much I love the industry because my fangirls are people in the industry that are being super innovative. They are just pouring into others so much, and they're so kind and they're so relatable. And that's the big thing. And I think that's what people love. That's what people admire about those people. It's not that they're higher than you. It's not that they are in some hierarchy way up here and you're down here. You admire them because of all the strengths that they have and what you want to be. You admire them as a goal. And there are so many of those at Real that I regret not approaching. Brett, like I know you and I talked about, Brad was a few doors down from me. And whenever I walked out of my room, I think I instantly started sweating and just dying inside. And I didn't know what to say. I just knew I didn't want to be awkward. So immediately what comes out of my mouth, everything awkward. All of them.
And Brad McCallum is amazing. There's so many awesome people. Brad McCallum, we've got Paige Steckling, Matt Leonetti. There's just Ray Ellen is awesome. Like there's just
I love Ray, and I love Ray. I love Kit. I love all them, and I'm like, I tagged him in one post, and I was like, I am coming to find you, good buddy. You better be ready for this I'm bringing your way. I'm coming in hot. And what happened? Didn't get a hug.
All talk. You were all talk.
Bob Tompkins. I mean, how cool is he? So cool.
I like Bob a lot.
And all of these people collectively are, and I know that sounds cliche, are real. They're real. Real.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it any differently.
Yeah. So let's talk about people. We didn't know what we were going to talk about when we started, but like when you meet people for the first time in person, after you feel like you've known them forever, like at least I pictured like how tall I thought they were, right?
I would really want to touch this topic.
Brad is short and he's absolutely adorable. Now I hadn't met him in person before, so I knew that, but I didn't think that you knew that. So anyway, we
flip it around for a second. I was like, I bet when he met me, I think I was more self-conscious about it because I was like, I wonder if when people meet me, they realize how tall I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm a little taller than average.
Yes, for sure.
So like 5'9". And I'm always afraid when we meet for the first time, they either one, like real estate, think I don't look like my photo, which is always my number one fear. My headshot will always hopefully look like me. Hopefully they're not like, who's that girl? And number two is
Side note, mine does not look like me. I'm growing my grays. It's total dark hair in my photo. Anyway.
Sam was here when I sprayed all my grays down. But meeting them in person, getting to experience the energy that you know that they carry online in person is a whole different ballgame. Like when I met Brad, you talk about electric. I mean, you feel it, and meeting them for the first time does not feel any different than online, other than the obvious things, like you get nervous and you do weird things like I do, or you don't because you're normal. But meeting them in person is just as awesome as you think it's going to be. And not even just meeting them. I met so many people that I had not even known online that I cannot wait to connect with online all year until I can give them, either see them in person again before next year or give them a massive hug at Rise next year.
Yeah, well, and one thing that's really cool is all these people that we're mentioning, they're super cool people, and I posted it on Facebook before when I posted about Rise, but it really did feel like we're with our favorite cousins at the reunion. You know, there's some family members you don't want to be around, but when everybody feels like your favorite cousins, like imagine, because that's what it felt like. But not just that, like these are our favorite cousins who are so smart and doing such cool things that literally they're making me want to level up my business.
Yeah.
And I'm talking serving my clients better. And I'm always focused on how can I serve my clients better? What can I learn to help their house sell for more money? What can I do marketing wise? And there are so many examples outside of our markets of cool things that people are doing that are working that we need to be sure that we start doing. And nobody here is doing it in the Owensboro market.
No, here neither. You talk about post Rise energy is a real thing.
Yes.
Like I left. I mean, this wall would have.
It's been naked for 6 months.
And it would have stayed that way. But I came home and immediately contacted so I have someone that's done video with me before, but immediately contacted many people on content creation and ideation, and was like, I am going to level up. So are you with me? Do you personally want to grow the way that, are you hungry to grow like I want to grow? Because if so, let's go. Yes. Seeing all of the innovative ways that agents at Real are doing business or getting their properties shown is huge. And I think so I made this joke the other day that Rise is the company at Halloween that's handing out the full-size candy bars, because they are giving us everything. The agents that are here are giving us everything. These aren't like little tiny tidbits of candy. This is the big stuff. And that's why you're seeing people migrate to Real, is because there is no holdback. There is no bar. You are getting, I saw someone the other day say something about a lot of people have this idea that in order to join Real, you have to be like in video. And I think that obviously, number one, I think that perception is very, very wrong, but I can see how that perception came about because video is the trend right now. And what we're seeing is finally there is a company that is allowing their agents to firsthand teach trends. And all of a sudden we have this mass group of people that know how to do something they didn't know how to do before. So all of a sudden you took all of these normal agents and you made them content creators because that's what's trending, or that's what is top tier in our market right now. And you have got the top people in our industry pouring down to you saying you can do it too. And I think that's what creates that perception. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I love that Real is set up in a way that so let's just talk about real quick what it means to be elite, right? So you were talking about Icon earlier before we lost you at EXP, and elite is the same thing, basically, but better. at
Yeah,
Real.
it has a lower margin. So you cap at 12 versus what was it at EXP 16? So
Yeah,
you cap at 12.
Yeah. So we have it. Here's what happens. And this is what a lot of agents don't realize at Real. So we have a $12,000 cap. We have an 85-15 split. So again, if you're a member of the public, you're a buyer, seller, whatever, you're not in the real estate industry, none of this is going to make any sense to you, because you're going to look at $12,000 cap and be like, oh my gosh, that's really expensive. It's actually not, compared to what a lot of brokerages take from their agents and really don't provide a lot back, So we have a $12,000 cap, 85-15 split. Once you cap, then it's a transaction fee. Now, this is the cool part. Once they collect an additional $6,000 of transaction fees, then you are an elite agent. And what does that mean? You get automatically $16,000 worth of stock, worth of company stock. So you've paid in your $12,000 cap and you've paid in $6,000. So you've paid in $18,000, but you get $16,000 in company stock. So you've only paid really $2,000 to be at the company, which is incredible, but it gets better than that. And this is where I was going with it, because you're talking about how people are pouring into each other. It's by design. So when you're an elite agent, you have the opportunity to go get a cultural award at Real. And what that means is, if you host a monthly mastermind in our workplace and you share your secrets and you help train our agents up, which is why we have so many incredible agents. There are top producing agents sharing their secrets all the time in different classes. So anyway, if you share for a year, once a month, just 1 hour, just 12 hours total for the year, you get an additional $8,000 worth of company stock. So you already got $16,000 when you became elite. Once you've given back to the agents for another 12 months, you get an additional $8,000. That is insane. So you've paid the company $18,000 and you're awarded $24,000. That can happen every single year. And while we were waiting to go live, when you were working on your stuff, I decided to go ahead and do a little bit of math. So I joined in December of 21. So let's just say, and I don't know the timeline exactly, but let's just say I hit elite August 2022. Our stock was worth $187 a share. Mm-hmm. If I was awarded $24,000 worth of stock at that point, I would have been awarded 12,834 shares of company stock, which is amazing. Today, those shares, 12,834 shares, they're valued at $5.23 a share, which is $67,121.
Mine was 145 when I joined.
Yeah. So
that today is worth almost 85,000.
And that's 1 year. That's 1 year that you hit elite, right? And so every single year that you hit elite, like, that happens over and over and over. So your 24,000, actually, you didn't pay 24,000. That's what you got awarded. Mm-hmm. You paid 18,000 into the company if you hit that level. So you paid 18,000, and now you have 67,121 from that 1 year, and you've probably hit elite the second year, the third year. It's absolutely insane. For that reason alone, I can't believe more people aren't here. But you know what I find interesting is that, well, first of all, there's 22,000 agents here now. I guarantee you, I mean, we're growing super fast. Mm-hmm. How many agents do you think we're going to have at next year's Rise? Not at the conference, but I'm going to guess that we're going to have 35,000 agents by then. At least.
At least. So it's funny, you talk about the stock and where we are at agents now. And it was one topic that I wanted to touch on, because I heard someone say the other day, we're part of the OGs. We were here, before there was 8,000 agents. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm an OG. Like, what an honor. Because I think when I joined, so when I had contacted you, Real had not even opened in Indiana yet. And we were waiting on Real to open in Indiana, and then it finally did. And then after it did, I think we might have had, I saw the 6,000 agent share, and then the 7,000, and then the 10,000. So the benefit in that when I did switch was, if I can get in now in a company that I really believe in, I know other people are going to believe in it, and I'm going to watch that stock skyrocket. And I actually, based on your recommendation, enrolled in the SPI program. And so I, out of every paycheck, buy company shares as well. And it's really been an integral part of planning our future and planning our retirement, things like that. We have more benefit than I've ever seen in both of us are retired corporate people. I have seen the most care, the most money, and the most benefit for my future and for the now through this cloud-based organization than I've ever seen through any corporate company I have ever worked for.
Yeah, it's insane. And when agents don't know about it, they obviously can't make a decision to join a company like ours. And when I say company like ours, there's no other company better than ours, in my opinion. But yeah, it's absolutely true. And you know what is really funny is that, so we're at this conference, and typically when you're at a real estate conference, the company is on stage bragging about the company. You know, that's just what they're about. They're like, oh, we're so great because of this, or we're so great because of that. That's not what we heard there. Actually, you even said it to me. I think it was you. Was it you or Steve? One of you said to me, I can't believe they didn't talk about stock.
It wasn't me, but I absolutely agree with that. It was 100%. What did Sharon say? Entrepreneur centric. It was not selling the company. We're already sold on the company. It was agent focused. It was all about us the moment we sat down in that room.
Yeah, they were so like, here, we want you to be better agents. We want you to be better entrepreneurs. We want your family to have a better life. Like, they were all about us. And let's just talk about some of the announcements that they made. So
big ones, 4 real big ones.
Yeah. So which one was your favorite, or which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, there's 2 that I really enjoy, but I think the most obvious one is Leo. So Leo is our AI that they introduced into our platform, into our app. So I hate to keep comparing to EXP. I don't want to do that. But at EXP, we had the World, which you recall was rather clunky, but it was not at all integrated into our payment systems. So we have one app, which is called Real Reason. And in Reason is everything. It's our one-stop shop for access. They have made it integrated into everything. The marketing department, Dre, and then I know, worked very hard to incorporate so much into that. And Pritesh, obviously, Real is a real estate brokerage, but that's not solely where their money is made. Their money is made most profitable through the tech that they have is proprietary to them. So the biggest thing was Leo. They introduced Leo into our app last year, and you can ask Leo, well, what was my last paycheck, or when is transaction such and such set to close? And it was a little redundant, because if you already knew those things, you didn't really need Leo. I used Leo more so to be like, okay, I can't find this information. Who do I contact about my stock? Or what stock program does Real use? Because I forgot the link or something. Do you have the link to this? But they introduced Leo in a couple ways, but mainly as the Leo Copilot, which is essentially the way I understood it, us treating Leo as an assistant and introducing the AI phone number.
Yeah. So a couple things. So Leo Copilot. So we've had Leo, like you said. Copilot is just like the next stage of it. And I think it's really cool that as soon as you talked about the Reason app, we do everything in there. Just like you said, when we have a new listing, we enter it into Reason. Well, now, as soon as we enter a listing into Reason, now there are some agents who love marketing and they're great at it. You're one of them. But there are a lot of agents who that's not their expertise and they don't want to be experts at marketing, right? But Leo will automatically, as soon as you enter a listing, it automatically creates all kinds of marketing tools and it pushes it to you. Now, there are other companies that have different sites that you can log on and you can request, I want some marketing templates and it'll send it to you. But you have to go in and physically do something, but not here. As soon as you enter a listing, it sends it to you and you can use it or you don't have to, which I think is super cool.
One question that I had, which I don't know if they answered or not, I would be curious if they would implement this, and I think it would be huge. I know you and I have talked about how you also use, so Lofty is a platform that Real provides, and you use that a lot for the landing pages, but you also use Follow Up Boss. And Follow Up Boss has a dedicated business phone number, and you can keep track of all the conversations and such in the Follow Up Boss platform, so you can go back and refer to conversations or whatever. My biggest curiosity is if they will ever integrate the AI phone number into Lofty so that it will do the same. If I enter that, okay, so let's say I enter a transaction, because the AI isn't just for clients that we already have. You can give anyone this AI phone number. Will it automatically port these people into Lofty, which would be huge so that you aren't being redundant? Here's my AI phone number. Then you got to take that person, enter them into Lofty. It would be cool if you entered that AI number and they immediately shot them to Lofty and tracked those conversations in Lofty. I'll be curious if they aren't already doing that, if that's something that is going to happen. I mean, would you agree that that would be pretty big?
It would be. And, I'm not super big on using AI a lot. It actually makes me a little bit nervous to have AI speaking to my clients, if I'm completely honest. And part of that is AI hasn't been around long enough for people to trust it, and so that makes me a little bit nervous. I would rather speak directly to my clients if we're under contract. However, I will say this. There are a lot of real estate companies that have created apps and they look at this nice technology that we have. And here, you can send this link to whoever, you can send this link to your clients and they can download your personalized app. Nobody uses that. Everybody uses Zillow, right? Nobody cares about your branded app. That's not really client friendly. That's not where they're going to go. So what do? They don't mind to text. So here's what I think is cool about it. And this is how I think that I would be okay with using it. So there are times when I have people reach out to me. I don't have a relationship with them yet, but they have a question about a house, right? So they want to use me as their buying agent, but they have a question about this house. I am on appointments for 2 hours straight and I literally cannot respond. I am in person with these other people. So if they text that number for me, now we're all going to have our own phone number. If they text that number and they say, hey, what do you know about 123 Main Street? My AI assistant can respond immediately and send them the MLS sheet, send them all these different things. That's how I think is really cool. Now, once we're under contract and all those things, I'm like, I want to talk to my clients. But when it can help me provide information to my clients because I'm busy and I can't get to them like this, and everybody wants info right now, right? That's just how we're designed now. I think it's super cool.
And to that point, outside of the phone number, one other thing I'll be curious on is if I can speak to Leo at some point, because Leo is constantly learning, and even so much so that they talked about in the text messages that when we respond, so when AI is communicating through text to these clients, you are included in all of this. And it also reads out if your agent, number one, it could sound like you, but if for some reason you disagree with something that it says, it will learn from that when you chime in. And it says in here, your agent is always present to say different, or if they disagree. And the coolest thing was AI will learn your tone. It will learn your mannerisms. One thing that if someone's messaging you and saying, because we all know how text messaging goes. Hey, are you available? Period. AI automatically knows what it's saying, but it also knows that you're asking a question versus making a statement. And I don't think people understand how massive that is, that they have created this technology to do that. But one thing that I will be curious if could happen, and we kind of talked about the lofty integration, is if in the future I can be like, hey, Leo, I want to send this new client, or let's take it back a step. I have someone that just bought a house, and I want them to, because they talked about the gap after you close a deal where we kind of feel awkward. We don't know. It's not like, hey, how's moving in going? You don't really know what to say and you don't know what you're getting into. So, hey, Leo, I want to send such and such client a CMA of their property every month for the next 8 months. And then I want you to create a reminder for me or my clients, or send out an auto text that reminds them to check their mortgage exemptions before the end of the year. If it could integrate into Lofty, into some kind of campaign that will automate that. But it would also have to integrate into the IDX or MLS.
Yeah, I think all those things are going to happen. I'm really excited about what that technology will do. So, and they showed us so many examples. They were using it live on stage. Like this isn't this is what we're hoping to launch. Like it's
coming.
Well, it's here. So I was playing with it yesterday, actually.
Stop it. It's in the app. Okay, so I knew that there was a portion of it they were launching in Q2 25. I have not got into the app yet, but I'm really excited to do that. And it's going to continue to balloon. I mean, AI is obviously never ending. It becomes this mega knowledge base. And so the more that we challenge it, and there's 22,000 of us that are going to challenge the system, the more it's learning, which is unbelievable. The things that we're going to be able to accomplish, the fact that we are a brokerage, I don't even have to sell anybody on why to choose Real as a brokerage. Because, of all the million examples that we've talked about, but outside of that, the technology, they are a technology company that just turned out to be amazing humans that care about the people that they work with. Like, I don't know if you know this, but Microsoft is the #1 organization in the world to work with. They've been rated by their employees. And all of these employees talk about why Microsoft is the best company. Obviously, it's a tech company. I don't see too many people out there that are like, yay, go to work and do tech. But that's also because I'm arts and crafts brain, not tech brain. So I'm so thankful that there are those people. But they talk about how the employees are empowered to grow and learn, and they're rewarded for that. And that environment fosters them to do that. And I think that's exactly what you're seeing at Real, even as a brokerage and a tech company. They're expanding because people love to be here. The more people that love to be here share in the knowledge base, and they continue to expand. I mean, I know they expanded. They talked about FinTech, the company. All this technology is insane. And when you mix it with someone who truly understands, we see all these tech companies and they want to work for real estate agents, but they don't understand how real estate works. They've never taken a real estate agent and been like, where's your real struggle? You can tell with everything that Real rolled out, they're in my shoes right now. They're
integrated
in my shoes, and they know where my struggle is. They know where my pain point is, and they're making technology that helps that. So not only do I already know that Real cares for me, am I already in an environment that fosters me to grow and to collaborate and love everyone that I'm with? They're creating technology that makes my life easier and makes me get to do more of what I love.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, huge. Absolutely huge.
Yeah, we had obviously Tamir was on stage talking a lot. Sharon, Jimmy Mackin. There was just all kinds. We had, what was his name? The monk.
Dhanapandi.
Yeah. It was so cool hearing from him. Like, how cool to have a monk on stage. And he came out, sat in the chair, legs were crossed, just like you would expect. And he was just so insightful. And I don't think that he said anything different than what any of us already really knew deep down, but it was just really good reminders. And you could tell he knew who he was in the room with, and he knew the struggles that we faced. So
Yeah.
I thought one of the really cool things that he talked about was we need to keep in mind, we need to be where our feet are, first of all, which I need to remind myself of that often, because how many times are we with one client and another client is blowing our phone up, and so we want to serve them quickly, and so we're responding while we're in the presence of another client. Like, we really do need to be where our feet are. And I do that to my husband all the time. So I'm with him, we're having a conversation, somebody else is texting me, and I'm responding while also trying to talk. And you cannot give your focus to two different things at one time. You're splitting. So as soon as you look at your phone, you are no longer present for the person that you're in front of, which is actually really sad. And we all know that deep down, we know it, but sometimes we just need a good reminder of it. And I just thought it was really cool, his message.
So I cracked this to Brad whenever we were in the hallway. I was like, I enjoyed that so much. And I know I've shared this with you, but I've been on a spiritual journey, I guess you would call it, for about the past year and a half. I had a trip out of the US last year and saw a world that I just didn't really know existed. And while it was meant to be this leisurely trip, I ended up learning so much about the world and myself. And it's obviously a third world country. And these people here were so happy and willing to share. And I was so confused. I remember at one point I was like, we're going to be late to this. And the guy was like, no worries. I'm like, yes, worries. I'm going to get there and it's going to be closed. Worries, big worries. No worry. And then what happens? Worry. But why was I so upset about that? So a lot of it is, and one thing he said, where your energy goes is where your energy flows. So I was focused on a state of, we're not going to get there on time. I'm worried. My awareness is solely in the worry, frustration part of my brain. It's not going to allow me to experience anything other than that. And so when I told Brad, I was like, this was a lot of the reason that I came to Rise. And I think what made me so proud is it wasn't just real finding the biggest, baddest, top producing agent in the world to tell us why they're so good at real estate and how we should do things differently. What I loved was real sat back and thought, what do our brokers need? And the spiritual part of that, I think, is what not just brokers, but everybody forget about. We all tend to forget about that part of our journey. And it made me so proud to be part of an organization that not only were they here for my growth as a broker, but they cared about my spiritual and mental well-being. And honestly, it's kind of a taboo topic. Not a lot of companies talk about spiritual things or mental health because it gets deep and it gets difficult. And outside of that, Real had every conversation that I think everyone else is scared to have. And I'm so honored by that. But back to the monk, number one, he has said so many things that were impactful. He had so many slides that were impactful. But I think what he did was the most impactful. And I know you remember this, when he had everyone close their eyes, which is what I already do in meditation. I think my husband thinks I'm delusional. He's like, how can you sit there that long and not think? I'm like, that's the whole point. And you don't understand how refreshed you feel when you're done. But he talked about the power of your awareness, which we all know people say, the power of your mind. Pavlov did the bell, when he would ring a bell and the dog's mouths would salivate. Like right now, I'm gonna tell you something about, imagine biting into a lemon. Did your mouth just water? Did you see a lemon? Did you taste a lemon? No, but what I just said to you created a chemical reaction in your brain that made your mouth. You did not see a lemon. You did not taste a lemon. You did not smell a lemon. All I had to do was say it. And your thoughts are the same things. Your brain cannot differentiate. This is what a lot of people lose. Your brain cannot differentiate your thoughts between what you say. It believes everything that you become aware of. And you are not your thoughts. So if you think, oh man, I really don't like that, you're aware that there was a thought that you did not like it, but you don't have to agree with that thought. Mm-hmm. So he talked about the power of awareness, and he had us all close our eyes, take a deep breath, think about the last wedding that we went to. I think that was one of the things. And I could not remember the last wedding that I went to, honestly. All I could think about was a wedding that I went to probably 6 or 7 years ago, because my son had danced with the bride and he just thought she was like a princess. And I went back to that. And he's like, think of every detail. Think of her dress. Who did she go with? What did it look like? And I'm thinking, like, where did I sit? What food did I eat? The important things. He had the ability to take everyone's energy out of that room separately, but yet collectively somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And then we all came back. And that component of it, not real, thinking this was a bunch of woo-woo stuff, it's real. A lot of people don't know this. Every thought that you think creates an energetic pattern in a field. Like, it's just science. It just is. And so if you think a thought, even if you don't necessarily agree with it, the moment that you become aware of it, it enters your field. And if you think of the law of attraction, the law of relativity, negative attracts more negative. So I'm not going to say that I don't ever have negative thoughts and they enter this field. They do, but a lot of it is just rewiring your brain through the meditation that he talks about, and starting to tune down those thoughts. And I think the best part, which I've made comment of, I never thought I would get a chance to see a monk sit on stage and say the word bullshit. He's like, that's bullshit. And I was like, I'm in the I'm because he not only was everything that he taught so applicable, but you could tell that Real had prepared him and he had genuine interest in learning what the pain points for real estate agents was. Because everybody thinks they know what real estate agents do, but then all of the real estate agents know that people don't know the fraction of what we do. So for him to really understand the ins and outs of certain things, you could tell that he had prepared to really engage us and understand us, which was just huge, absolutely huge. The speaker was fantastic. The room was fantastic. The energy was fantastic. I have no better things to say about that.
Yeah. We were supposed to end this at 10 because I had a team meeting at 10. I pushed them off till 10:30. So we are going to wrap it up quickly. So I want to end it talking about Tamir's message. But before we do, is there anything else that you want to be sure we talk about? Because we just need to talk about it quickly. So
no, number one, I want to apologize because of all of my errors. But I think we should definitely see what comes of this, because I definitely think there's a lot more conversation to be had about it, not just relative to Real, but no, I am happy to discuss whatever you are happy to.
Okay, so let's just touch on the Real wallet. So what did you think about that?
Okay, so it was honestly my least desired part of the conference, really, because
you probably won't use it.
I don't have, will I eventually? Yes. Is there enough out about it right now? Not really. Yeah. The way that I understand it is, if you have a team or you do a lot of investments, it would be very beneficial to those people, because the Real wallet charges a 10% interest on the money that you borrow per month. So it is and they don't charge you any upfront fees. There's no like buying points or anything like that. And then on top of that, paying the interest. It's just strictly the interest. And Real is leveraging the money that you already have in the company to do that. So your stocks, or based on trends of what you're closing. And in real estate, we know money's not always guaranteed. So if you're facing, if something happens and you're facing like a dry spell, that you can leverage your other assets in Real to do that. I don't see myself using this platform, kind of like they talked about Revive, which we don't have to touch on that right now. I don't see myself using that, but is it in my best interest to know that it exists? Because number one, I may need it in the future, or number two, someone I know at Real may need it in the future. And both of those are really important.
Yeah, something that I think is really cool. I don't know that I'll personally use it, but if you're a business owner, you know how hard it is. Maybe not hard. There's just a bunch of hoops to jump through to get a small business loan.
Yeah.
Like a ton of stuff to do to get a small business loan. But you can use this instead of a small business loan. Now, of course, it's 10% interest, but if you use this like a credit card, I mean, most credit cards have 20-something percent interest.
22, yeah.
Yeah. And so this will be 10% interest, which would be way better. And I don't know about you, but I use credit cards. I pay them off every month. Thankfully, I'm able to do that. But any interest that I would pay if I didn't pay them off every month benefits that credit card company. And I don't own any part of that credit card company. However, I am a stockholder here. I own stock at Real. And so if Real is earning interest money from agents who are borrowing money because they'd rather borrow money from Real than any other institution, it's going to make our shares go up, right? I mean, there's no guarantee, but one would gather that that's probably what's going to happen. I'm a huge fan of this.
Yeah. And I'm giving money to a company that's going to take that money and pour it back into me. Yeah. I don't think that there's any way to lose. If you're going to borrow money, it only makes sense. Yeah. And I was thinking about it. Okay, if I've got a home renovation coming up, do I really want to do a home line of equity to do that? Or do I want to leverage Real Wallet to do that? They have the credit card too that you can use. So will I use it immediately in the future? No. Will I investigate more details about it immediately in the future? Probably also no. But I love knowing that it exists, not just for me, but for others that may need it as well. And one of the benefits is like, while we were there, we ordered new signs. I mean, people don't realize the costs that go into signs, but this was a deal. I got 10 signs for almost $3,000. That is a lot of money. And if you have a team and you're, pushing that out for them too, that is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And, let's say you've got a team member, Sam, you got a team member. They need to borrow some money. They need it in advance. They can leverage Real Wallet to do that instead of you chasing their money. Mm-hmm. Now they've got Real Wallet chasing their money. I'll be curious to see if they do have to chase for that. I'll be curious to see what the metrics look like.
Yeah, well, and they're not going to loan you more money than they're comfortable loaning you. So What's really cool about it is we have the commissions that we earn, but we own stock. And so they're going to look at how much stock do you have? How much revenue share do you have coming in? Are you earning anything from One Real Title? Are you earning anything from One Real Mortgage? There's so many different ways we can earn money at Real. And they're just going to look at that whole picture and be like, okay, how much are we comfortable loaning this agent?
And one other thing that I'll touch on, because you said Real Mortgage, one thing that they rolled out, and I can't remember all the hard details about it, but talked about if you refer a lead to One Real Mortgage, that you will get paid for the lead. Not only if the deal goes through, you will get paid just for trusting One Real Mortgage to try and nurture that lead.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that I'm going to do this? I have such a great relationship with my local lenders that I don't know that is an avenue that I'm going to choose to go down. I think I would be more curious what I would love to take a picture of my local lenders and One Real Mortgage and their overlays and requirements in underwriting and all of that, and see how closely they mimic each other. Because what I don't want to end up happening, and I have not worked with One Real Mortgage, but is like I don't know if I can say the name of the company on here, but we all know them. They're a very advertised online lender that I very rarely have successful transactions with. They approve people who have no business being approved, or we get to the closing table and all of a sudden these people need $3,000 that they don't have, that we didn't know about. Nobody's going to do anything about it because you can't get a hold of anybody.
Yeah.
So I would want to be sure that if we're dealing with an online lender, that it does not have the same rapport or tendencies that some of those other online companies do.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Tamir. And
let's talk about Tamir.
He's so awesome. Tamir, of course, again, is our founder. He's amazing. So he lives in Israel.
Yeah.
But I think he's in the US maybe more than he's in Israel.
Can we talk about the moment that he was on stage, the big piece was behind him? And number one, you have an organization that stopped an entire conference to talk about how important it is that we are all individually and collectively part of getting peace into the world. And you could hear a car rev outside, and I immediately thought it sounded, you remember those old crank sirens when you would crank them up? It's like, woo. Mm-hmm. You heard that car go past the strip, and he stopped immediately and said, that right there sounded like a siren.
Yeah. Okay. So let's wind it back a little bit. So there's obviously crazy stuff happening in Israel right now, right? And so we all know he lives there. We know what's going on over there. And one of the first things he said, and of course he's seated. This is a very intimate. It was just amazing. Like you could hear it. Nobody spoke. Nobody spoke that was around you sitting. Like we were all listening to every word that came out of his mouth. He's so impactful. But anyway, he was talking about what's going on in Israel. And, there's missiles being launched. His family lives there. His small children live there. And I don't remember where he said they were going, but they were going somewhere in the morning.
His wife was taking his daughter to school.
Yeah, and they heard the sirens. So they are blaring sirens when you need to take cover because you're in danger, which is absolutely terrifying.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't imagine, actually. And so anyway, his daughter, I can't remember how old she is, 6 or 8. She's young.
Yeah.
She knew as soon as she heard that siren where the closest place was to run to for cover.
And his son, he is going, well, as of last week, it was supposed to be 5 weeks before he went into the military. Then it's 4 weeks. So like 3 more weeks, and his son has to, enter the military over there, because that's what you do.
Yeah. And his son is named after one of Tamir's very best friends who lost his life as a soldier. Mm-hmm. And so it's terrifying for Tamir. And I think that it's amazing that he shared all of that with us. But when he first started talking about this, he started it by basically saying, you guys know what's going on over there, but you don't know the complexities. And he was getting ready to tell us a bunch of things that were going on that his family was facing. But he said, we're not going to talk about the politics side of this, and we're not going to talk about who's right and who's wrong, because everybody is wrong.
Everyone's wrong. And I think everybody was like, yeah, we're all wrong. Like, love is the only way.
Yeah. And we're sitting over here in the United States and nothing like that's going on. So it's really easy for us to forget what is actually going on in the world. But his family is living it firsthand. And for him to just come out and say, there is war going on in my community, literally war, literal war, not some other type of hypothetical war. There is war going on in my direct community. and everybody is wrong. I don't care how you think politically, you're all wrong. And that was just really powerful. And he then started talking about just peace in general and how important it is. And when you're hearing from a man whose family is in a literal war zone talking about the importance of peace, you listen. And it was just really impactful for me because real estate can be like, I feel like I'm going to war sometimes when I'm looking out for my clients' interests, like I'm a mama bear. And when I feel like other agents, which I just recently had one, and she was awful with communicating. I never enjoy working with her because it's a nightmare and I can handle it, but it negatively impacts my clients and it really fires me up because my clients don't feel good because the other agent isn't communicating. We don't know what's going on. So anyway, that his conversation placed me back in those situations. And he's basically saying, like, there's no reason to fight. There's no reason. Yes, we need to care for one another. We need to look out for our clients, but there really is no reason to go to war, you know?
Yeah. Because you don't know what's going on. I mean, you don't know what's going on in that other person's life. And honestly, it was a great testament of example of knowing that you don't know what other people are going through, and the way people act towards you has absolutely nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
Their reality is a reflection of their inner world, and what they impress upon you has nothing to do with you, and you can choose not to accept that. You can't. Now, I'm not saying Tamir they can't choose to not be at war, but they can choose, like Tamir has done, to use that as a fire, as a fuel to spread awareness and to spread kindness, because that's the only way we win. And he took that opportunity to show his struggles while he's still here pouring into you and to me. He's at this conference. They're all sharing love. Like Sharon had lost his aunt the day before, but they're on stage and they're being impactful because they have a purpose and they know it and they know how to do it. And Tamir, to share that message while experiencing it was very profound.
Yeah, I agree.
I am so honored to be. I hope and pray. I just think that it's kind of like Adam Sandler. You pray that there's never a day that he doesn't exist, because who could live without Adam Sandler, right? I pray that there's not a day that I know a real, even as we expand and grow. That is probably one of my bigger fears, is as we expand and grow, will we, and we have not yet, lose sight of that intimacy? Will Sharon be Sharon? Will Tamir be Tamir? Because Real is growing. We've got the mortgage company, we've got the tech company, we've got the brokerage, we've got so many things. But what makes Real is that C-suite. Dre, Sharon, Tamir, Pritesh.
He's so awesome.
He's such a cool dude.
Yeah, he is. He is.
And all of those people in that C-suite, because of who they are. It's not even always about what they know. It is because of who they are.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything to worry about as long as Tamir and Sharon are at the helm. And even if we didn't have as long as we have one of them, right? I want both of them, but as long as we have one of them, I think we're going to be just fine, because that's Tamir's heart. I mean, you can't change who he is. That is just him. And I will also say that he actually spoke of EXP briefly during our conference, and he did not speak badly of them at all. He actually spoke highly of EXP, which I think is amazing. And you can tell it was from his heart. And I don't know if you've noticed it, but there's been some things that the EXP founder has been posting on social media in the last 48 hours that's not been so great. And it made me sad, because we heard Tamir's heart, and the way our conference ended was so beautiful. and so real. And just seeing another industry leader leading in that way online, leading his people that way, just made me sad. But it made me thankful to be where I am.
One thing, well, so two things. One thing that I had made a special note to speak on was what Tamir or Sharon, all of them, Pritesh, okay, let me start over. What Pritesh, I feel like Pritesh deserves to be at that number one spot sometimes. How is Real creating what other companies cannot? Real is obviously new. Real can do faster than what other companies have to undo. Because when you start out the gate, let's say you start out the gate with a bad habit, it is harder to correct that habit than to start out the gate with good habits. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that I've put down here is, what is Real doing that other companies can't? Other companies would have more time in doing than time it takes Real to innovate. So they have to undo and redo, which takes extensively longer than the time that it takes Real simply to create. And right. Change is inevitable, but it starts from the top down. The company, when it ran out the gate, had a vision from day one, and it has not deviated from that vision. And while all these other companies are trying to catch up, Real is creating beyond capacity. So they are constantly creating beyond what these other companies will ever be able to catch up to. And that is because of the dedication to their vision of being entrepreneur-centric, being kind, and being collaborative. And I don't think people truly understand until they're at Real. And I think the greatest testament that I've had personally of this was my husband, who is not the same archetype as me, not the same personality. I said, "Did you have fun?" He's like, "Yeah." That's huge. Number one, that's huge for him. Number two is what he said to me. And when he said, out of every company I've ever worked for, and for me, it was him acknowledging that this is part of him. This company is part of him. I have never had someone sit with me and care about me, my struggles, and the overall well-being of everyone collectively. I have never had a company, their top people, get on stage and me feel like they're talking directly to me because they care. I haven't had that either, but it was not as profound as hearing it from that man saying it. And I was like, yeah, I've never had that. So I don't think people understand the depth until you firsthand experience it. It's like, I don't know. There's certain feelings that you don't know until you experience them. And I think that the love for Real, people think it's a sales tactic, and it can be with other organizations, but you don't understand until you feel it. You just can't.
Yeah. And I don't talk about Real a whole lot to fellow agents because I don't want them to think I'm trying to attract them or recruit them. Like, that's not it. Anytime I do bring it up, it's literally because I feel selfish not talking about how great it is here.
Yes.
But I have to keep myself from talking about it because I do love it so much. But I don't want them to think, oh, she's just saying that. Because, like, no, I love it here. Like, I absolutely love it here.
Have another call that doesn't just talk about like what they've rolled out. Obviously, we didn't even get all the way into the meat of what they rolled out. But it's really, I could just go on and on and on about all of the things. But I know that you have an appointment. And also, did you know prior to Tamir's conversation that he was special ops?
No, I did not.
Was that not so cool? I thought that was so cool. I didn't know that. But overall, what did I take from Rise? I took a shit ton of energy that I'm using it as active momentum to go back out into my community because I want to level up. You know, when I see that big screen and I see those awards, I want to see my name on there. I want to be recognized as innovative. I want to serve in the way that these other people serve. And not because I feel inadequate, but because I know that I am capable and I'm going to leverage every opportunity at Real to do that. And so I took all that energy away I took away a beautiful time with you and your husband, which was absolutely fantastic. I took away, I got to meet people that I deeply respect and admire in our industry. And I got to meet a lot of new people to deeply admire and respect. And being a part of One Real, seeing what it's like to truly be a part of that. Because when you're a cloud-based brokerage, you have this community, but until you experience it firsthand in person, it was huge.
Yep, I agree.
Love
All
it.
right, well, my team needs me. So we're going to go ahead and say peace out on the live stream. Thank you guys for joining us. We really, really appreciate you. And I really enjoyed talking to Chelsea quite a bit. So I'm sure that we'll do something similar.
I'll have my computer charged next time.